What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
Savage.
Welcome to Theory for Theory, a series on the channel where another One Piece YouTuber and I go head-to-head with their theories, my theories, and community theories. My guest this week was Parvision, who I have to say brought one of the best theories I have heard in a long time. This is a highlight excerpt of that theory, and if you'd like to watch the full stream, the link is in the description. Enjoy. Welcome, once again, to another Theory for Theory. So, Parvision, if you're not aware, is another content creator in the community, a rising star, a new supernova.
Question, with the Reverie, do they do like hot takes and like those kinds of theories too?
Well, I mean, sure. And I mean, with Jay being the host this year, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of hot takes.
So, I mean, I have like a lot, I have a whole thing prepared for like my intro too. Just like one of the hottest takes right now, two of them, I guess, is, I'll just run it down. It's just Mihawk is a sword, Zoro is a plant, the original Vanderdecken was a mushroom, but I'd say the one that I would bring up to this is the reaction I want. and so I guess
You made my chain fall off, man.
Dude, my theory broke his chain. It's funny because in my last video, my Nolan video, the last thing I said was, you know, I hope I turned your world upside down. And that's exactly what happened.
Do I know Par's shadow theory? What's your shadow theory?
So, Sun God. Why is he the Sun God? Power is rubber. You know, he morphs to certain things, but one of the main things about his transformation was that he turns pure white. And, you know, there's a whole debate because we still haven't gotten the full color of it, but yeah. Kaido said full, pure white.
Exactly, and I am part of the squad that says that this man is full, pure, cocaina white head to toe. Nothing about him is colored in anything. There's no
exactly
pale skin, all of that. All of the people that bought statues and everything across the world, because there are already statues that are out where it's going off of the fan colorings and everything. It's gonna come out and they're gonna have played themselves.
It's fun because I've been seeing those things. I'm like, this isn't it. This is not it. We just like, it's funny because Oda's probably seeing those too. And it's like, what? This isn't what Gear 5 looks like. So essentially, with that white part, right? You know, there is a connection with the Sulong, right? But the Sulong get it from the full moon.
Did you see my theory connecting the Sulong, Hody, and Luffy's Gear 5?
Yeah. After I posted my video, people sent me to your thing, and I like watched it after. I think there was a trend beyond just the minks and the energy steroids in getting this white form. I allude to it in my Nolan video, actually. Tying to ancestry, some sort of like aging thing. I haven't fully delved into it, but the thing that people kind of forget is that the sun is not yellow. The sun is white. We only see it yellow because of our atmosphere, but the true form of the sun is white. That's all light. People also say that when you add all the colors together, you get black or, you know, dark, whatever. But that's when you use subtractive color theory. Additive color theory, when you're, you know, emitting light, it turns white. And essentially what I'm saying is I think that Luffy's power is that he, in a way, is emitting light and he alters shadows. And the reason why this connects is that when we go back to Thriller Bark, we talk about shadow revolution. Moria put out this he put out this whole concept where if you change the shadow of something, you morph the host. How many souls do people have in One Piece? Like a regular person, not a devil fruit person, we picked up a random person from like Logtown, you know? How many souls do they have?
I have one.
That's what I thought, but no, it's not. Every person has two souls, one in their body and one in their shadows. That is what we learned from Thriller Bark. So the idea is that the shadow has its own soul and it follows its master soul, the main body. And so Moria's power allowed him to take the shadow and make the master body conform to it. And we saw that full force with Oars. Oars was not a rubber corpse. Oars was just Oars. And even when Luffy's shadow was in him, he thought he was gonna be doing Gomu Gomu Gatling, but he was just like not doing it. But then when Moria started altering his shadow, he was able to do it, and it didn't affect his body. He was able to do all of that. And what was said was that Oars is more deadly not being a rubber person, but having a rubbery shadow that mimics a rubber person. That was the exact quote. And like the whole crew was like, this is just nonsense. This is ridiculous. Like, how are we supposed to fight this?
Well, I did get the shadow of the man who had the most ridiculous power in the world.
Yeah, and there's a more into like what happens when we removed Luffy's shadow from it. Like, you know, the first thing it says Niku and like all that stuff. So the theory goes into a little interesting place where I don't want to necessarily talk about in full force here about the devil fruits. And I was saying that essentially there might be a world where like the devil fruits contain the shadows of past people, and it was just a part of a theory.
I mean, that's fun because I've always felt like devil fruits have had souls in them. So by having the shadows in there, and shadows being a soul in itself, yeah, I can see that. All right.
Right. And so one of the other parts of this is like, and keep in mind, guys, this is a 55-minute video, so I'm not doing the whole part justice, but you know, Randy is also, you know, he can piece together more of the things that I'm saying, so I'm trying to keep this faster. But that being said, one of the interesting parts of the devil fruit users is how they get weaker in water, right? And it's not as they get weaker as they get further submerged. And what's interesting about that is that if I'm saying that all the devil fruits are powers based off of light manipulation, Zoan fruits, for example, you could essentially create a Zoan person by purely just manipulating the shadows. If the Zoan fruit like changed the shadow of a person, they would morph into the person. And so what I was saying was that I think Zoans, and again, I don't flesh this out like fully because it's just like a soft theory to get to a final point, but Zoans might be shadow manipulation, Logias might be light manipulation, and Paramecias might be both. And so then through altering different light manipulations, you get like different manifestations and stuff, which gets really complicated, which is why that video doesn't I can't do it justice right now. But the interesting reason for that is that when you submerge people through water, it makes sense that they would get weaker because as you go deeper, light gets scattered more. So, and we know that Oda does, Rayleigh's name is the scattering effect that I'm talking about. And so and I mean, that's in the atmosphere, but in the water, as you go deeper, light gets scattered. And so you're not able to form a shadow as stronger, which is why a devil fruit user who relies on their shadow to manifest their power would be weaker or debilitated. And where this theory really is stronger is the part about Logias. The thing about Logias is that they're an element, right? But the thing is, they still have to have a shadow. Even Kizaru, the light human, he has to have a shadow. That's important because if he didn't have a shadow, then he would die. That's what we learned in Thriller Bark. Every person has to have a shadow. That means that no matter what form a Logia is in, they have a shadow. And why is that important? That's important because of the way Armament Haki works and the way Blackbeard's power works. Armament Haki and Blackbeard's powers, they mirrored the exact same conversation. When Robin talked about it on Punk Hazard, Blackbeard talked about it to Ace. They said that they were grabbing the true body of the devil fruit user. They were grabbing the true body. And so now we're talking about Caesar. Luffy was using Armament Haki to grab Caesar. I'm proposing that the Armament Haki is essentially strengthening your shadow,
bringing the shadow to the front, and that's why it's dark.
Exactly. One way or another, the shadows are being interacted with. And so because your Logia
it's the shadow,
your...
that's how you're able to affect a devil fruit user.
Yes,
that's interesting.
And
I like that.
And I go in this huge breakdown into how devil fruit users lose their power. So between Sea Stone, going in the ocean, the Haki stuff, and then Blackbeard's power. Blackbeard's power is the most important one because Blackbeard actually removes your devil fruit. And we saw that with Luffy. We saw that with Luffy in Impel Down, where he grabs Luffy the same way he did Ace, and he slams him into the ground. Now, the thing is, with Ace, he punched him, and we don't know if it was armament or not. I think that it wasn't armament because he said it's just a normal punch, and you've never been hit with a normal punch, so it would make sense. You'd be able to hit him with an armament haki punch anyways. I think the point of that punch was to prove that, like, you don't have your devil fruit now, I can punch you normally. And so with that same logic, he grabbed Luffy. Luffy's supposed to stay rubber no matter what. And we know that even more now. But the thing was, Blackbeard slammed him into the ground and Luffy still coughed up blood. And that's really weird because if I threw Luffy against the wall, it's not like he would get hurt because the wall doesn't have haki, the wall doesn't have sea stone, the wall doesn't have anything. But he still coughed up blood by being thrown into the ground. Blackbeard was not touching him there. So that tells me that Blackbeard actually removes the entirety, like the entire effect. He was removing Sun God Nika in that panel. We know now he was removing Sun God Nika. And what that says to me, the way Blackbeard's fruit works is that he controls darkness. And so essentially he's chaining up people's shadows. And it's very interesting because I go more into Blackbeard in that video about how he can have multiple fruits, because a lot of people think like, yeah, it's his body is weird, right? But another interpretation is if devil fruits can be eaten, right, and your soul, whatever, and everyone has two souls, the weird thing about Blackbeard might be that he knows how to control his shadow some way or another. And this is where it gets a little interesting. But essentially what I'm saying is that he didn't eat the Yami Yami no Mi, his shadow did. And that's a really interesting point because a lot of people say that his thing is a mythical zone, which I agree. It could be a mythical zone. But the main reason why they're saying he is one is because his body doesn't go intangible. But if his shadow ate the fruit, that would explain why. And when we see him in the Ace fight, his shadow always comes from behind him. It never, like when he gets hit by stuff, it comes up behind him and then eats it up. And I was like, wait, if he could just, that part could just turn into darkness and soak it up. Like, why is it always emphasized that it wraps around from behind him? So there's I go into more on the shadow thing. I think that kind of like gets you a gist of it. I think you can kind of see how there is some legs to this shadow idea. Again, that was maybe like a few minutes of the first like 30 minutes of it. And so this is where I leak into my mega theory. And this part doesn't spoil you on the Void Sentry part. Damn, I got him to... How many times have I got you to use the soundboard? This is exciting.
First of all, before you go even further, I love that. Okay? I love that. And I also love it because of how Oda is tying Blackbeard and Moria together. So there may be something there where Blackbeard, in order to fully use his power, may need something from the Kage Kage no Mi, you know? Or if he can get someone like Burgess to eat the fruit, if they kill Moria or anything like that, they can actually do this tandem power type thing. I love that. I mean, it throws out the long-standing theory that Blackbeard either already has or will have 3 fruits. But man, God, that's the kind
Moria
of
fruit.
That's the kind of stuff that I really love. The stuff that's like right in front of your face. We already had Thriller Bark, this whole arc about the shadows, and then the Armament Haki utilizing the shadow.
Yeah, and the whole arc was to teach us about shadows. Like, it doesn't make sense for Oda to do that right before time skip and not use that really in an important way.
Oh, exactly.
And this is, you hit a trap card with bringing up Moria, because I wasn't going to bring him up, but since you brought him up, he's not called a shadow human. He's called the ruler of shadows. And what is Sun God Nika called? Sun God Nika is the warrior of liberation. But who was he liberating? And so that's where it's like, oh, maybe the previous user of Moria's fruit enslaved all the shadows, and Luffy was, and again, repeating history, he liberated if he can manipulate shadows on his own, then he's the direct counter to Moria being the ruler of shadows, because he's the warrior of liberating what? Liberating people and making them be free of them.
And that's why I always bring up the parallels of Thriller Bark and Wano in particular. And I mean, and nothing was more obvious than when Year 5th first appeared.
Mm-hmm.
Warrior of Liberation, right? But when did Luffy really, start liberating everything? When he was the Warrior of Hope, which was the chapter title for Nightmare Luffy. There are those ties there. Those are those ties. But yeah, man, no, this was fun. I was glad that we were able to do this properly.
Thank you for being here, whether you came from the premiere or, you know, Randy's viewers. Thank you. You guys are always super welcoming, especially like last time when you guys like brought me onto the call. I really appreciate you guys. And then like also on like, you know, Randy's Twitch and then Chrissy's Twitch, you guys are always super welcoming. So I just want to, you know, thank you guys for that first. My main channel is Parvision on YouTube. I also have a VODs channel, so if you like, you know, you enjoy this time, I have my own streams on every Thursday, and then on the weekends the schedule's changing up, but it's usually on Saturdays. I do a watch party for the episodes too, so there's a Parvision VODs channel, so you can check out that. And so on that, I also post my TikToks, and as I mentioned to Randy before, TikTok is where I started YouTube, or started One Piece content, and then I went to YouTube.
Thanks everybody for being here. And go follow Parvision, follow Jay. I'll see everybody here next week and also at the Reverie.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.